we might just have a contender for the worst journalist in the country, surpassing Laura Kuenssberg. So Kay Burley claims that Palestinian ambassador Hussam Zomlot said that Israel had it coming in regards to the Hamas killings of innocent Israelis.
What about your opposite number, David Lammy, sharing a platform with the Palestinian ambassador who basically said the Israelis had it coming? To what extent does it help when the Palestinian ambassador to the UK comes out with comments like Israel had it coming? Where are we with the foreign secretary, the shadow foreign secretary at the moment, sharing a stage with a man who has said Israel had it coming?
The problem here is that Burley completely made up the quote. Hussam said nothing like that. This is his interview with the BBC. Now try and find where he says anything of the sort.
You just condemned Israel for killing civilians and you won't condemn Hamas for killing civilians.
How many times you have interviewed Israeli officials, Louise? Hundreds of times. Hundreds of times. How many times Israel have committed war crimes right live on your own cameras? Do you start by asking them to condemn themselves? Have you? You don't. You don't. No, I'll answer that question. You don't. You know why I refuse to answer this question? Because I refuse the premise of it. Because at the very heart of it is misrepresentation of the whole thing. Because it's the Palestinians that are always expected to condemn themselves. I mean, come on, this is a political conflict. We have been denied our rights for a long time. So this is the wrong starting point. The right starting point is to focus on the root causes, is to try and get out of this extreme dark tunnel, as opposed to this business by BBC and the mainstream media for 75 years. You bring us here whenever there are Israelis who are killed. Did you bring me here when many Palestinians in the West Bank, more than 200 over the last few months? Do you invite me when there is such Israeli provocations in Jerusalem and elsewhere? Because what Israelis have seen, which we started by saying tragic, the last 48 hours, the Palestinians see every day for the last 50 years. You know the situation in Gaza, you've just described it. This is the biggest open-air prison.
Hussam's response was completely rational and correct in regards to the conflict. We've had a complete consensus by our politicians and the media that Palestine doesn't matter. If Israel can defend themselves, why can't Palestine? Now, Burley was called out on Twitter by some of the journalists at Novara Media, but the responses to all of them was nothing short of childish. Michael Walker said this: "This is really terrible journalism from Kay Burley and reminiscent of a playground poo stirrer. You can't just make up provocative quotes and then demand others respond to them." She responded by saying this: "Don't message me, Michael. I have no interest in anything you say." Does she not know how Twitter works? That's not a message. He mentioned you in a tweet. Strange. Ash Sarkar weighed in. "This is an extraordinary response to a fellow journalist pointing out that you appear to have fabricated a quote from the Palestinian ambassador." What was Burley's response? "Do you not have anything else to do in your Novara office? Off you pop. Nothing else to do apart from, I don't know, holding you to account because you can't seem to do your job." Now, I personally find Kay Burley insufferable. And these exchanges is just proof that she is. Instead of correcting the record or apologising for completely fabricating what an ambassador said, instead she responds with snide, pathetic comments. She's an incredibly egotistical person. The role of the journalist is to not be the story, but she enjoys the spotlight on it. I think it's a disgusting attitude. We deserve better. We deserve high quality, high standard journalism. What we're asking for isn't even that. We just at least want these people to not brazenly lie. This is incredibly dangerous. Burley is a high-profile figure within the media. She works for Sky News, which reaches millions of people every single day. She has inflamed tensions on a subject matter that needs caution and sensitivity. There's obviously a problem with the structure of our mainstream media. Now, we on the left often talk about systems. 90% of legacy media journalists went to private schools. They're all in their own bubble, which often extends to our politicians, where they schmooze with each other at Murdoch paid-for garden parties. But this isn't just a system error. There's a personality culture in the media that create the absolute worst people. Their attitude to ordinary people who feel the pain the most from government policies is one of disdain. I'm reminded of this tweet by the Financial Times' Janan Ganesh. "You can do analysis of Corbyn and his movement, I have done it, but the essence of the whole thing is that they are just thick as pig shit." That's the way they see everyday people. They hold anyone who isn't in the mainstream club with contempt, and that's mostly independent left-wing organisations such as Novara. Our media is one of the worst in the world, but on top of that, we have the most insufferable people who work in our media. Now, I think it's really important that we hold these people to account. It's important for democracy. So I have included a link in the description to the Ofcom complaints website, and I ask you to put in a complaint about Kay Burley and her continued lies about the ambassador. We can't let these people get away with this.